Have you ever wondered why you get to like your goal weight and then you kind of gain it all back and then some? I'm guilty of that. I've done it a few times, and in this video we are going to talk about self-sabotage and what you can to avoid self-sabotage so that you guys can stay at your maintenance for the rest of your life. All right, let's get started and get into the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Janet, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content, and make sure that you're hitting that notification bell so that YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, then welcome back to my channel. All right, everyone, like I had mentioned, I am going to talk about self-sabotage today, and I'm going to try to talk about the things that I've experienced and maybe the reasonings why I've been up and down so much in my weight. I am 44 years old. I am a mother of two, and I am also a wife too. And I've lost over 100 pounds on the ketogenic diet. But that's not the only time that I've lost weight. So I have gone up and down weight many times in my adult life. I was always very active as a child. I was very sick also as a child. I was in the hospital probably most of my childhood, to be honest. And I never did have a weight problem though. I feel like my weight problem actually started when I left home and went to college, probably like a lot of us. And you know, you kind of don't cook for yourself and you're eating out more and you're getting Ichiban noodles, and you know, you're just kind of eating those things that technically really isn't all that good for you. I was never like a vegetable or fruit person growing up. We were kind of like a meat and potatoes type of family for sure. My mom was very healthy. She had salads all the time, and you know, she wouldn't eat very much. She was always just very petite. And my dad was definitely like a meat and potato eater. So I feel like I kind of took on that role of being like eating meat and potatoes and not so much the vegetables or the fruits, to be honest. And it's not like we didn't have like money to get fruit or vegetables or anything like that, but it was just the foods that I would prefer to eat was the meat and potatoes, right? And that's kind of what I grew up on. And of course, in high school, I would like the quick meals. And if I didn't pack a lunch, then I would probably go down and get like, you know, we had those meat and cheese sticks, like with the breading, like with the cheese bread wrapped around the pepperoni. Like those were my favorite. They were so good. And I lived in a small community in southern Saskatchewan. We only had 3,000 people in our small little community, and it was the best childhood ever. Like it was absolutely amazing, and I loved every minute of it actually. But there was times where at lunchtime I just wanted to hang out with my friends, and we only had one fast food place in our town, and it was KFC. So if I did forget my lunch, or if we wanted to hang out with friends, we would go to KFC. And of course, you know, let's be honest, there isn't a lot of good meal choices and food choices at a KFC. So I would get like at the time, unless maybe they still have them, but they would have like junior chickens, I guess you would say, right? And they were just like a mini McChicken, or not McChicken because that's McDonald's, but they would have like little chicken burgers at KFC, and I would get those a lot of the times, and I would get two of those. And you know, that's where I fell in love with fast food, I feel. And also too, since we lived an hour away from a major city, that's where we would get a lot of our groceries. And I feel like when we went to the city, that was our chance to kind of like get fast food, get McDonald's and stuff like that. So it was kind of like definitely a treat for us, but it was something that you looked forward to. And then when I moved out of my small little town and moved into a city in order to go to college, I had fast food places all around me. So, you know, late at night or when I wasn't cooking, or I would just grab fast food because it was good. And at that time, like I said, I didn't have a weight problem. I was really active in high school. I was actually in a lot of sports, probably every sport that you could join, I was doing in high school. And yeah, and then that kind of slowed down once I came to college here in Medicine Hat, because what I took was office technology. So it was kind of like a business administration, and there wasn't a lot of activity. So I wasn't doing a lot of activity as far as like, you know, the volleyball, the basketball, the badminton, all of that I was doing in high school kind of came to a stop. The only form of exercise that I was doing and I continued to do was slow pitch or softball. So I did play that all throughout my college years and joined a softball team, and later on I ended up joining a slow pitch team as well too, because that was something I always enjoyed. But you know, that's not a huge amount of exercise. So over the course of my college years, I did gain some weight. And then at that time I met my first boyfriend, I guess you would say, because I didn't have a serious boyfriend when I was in high school. And so I think after that too, when you become a little bit more comfortable with your significant other, then you tend to gain a little bit of weight too. And that was the form of activity, right? Like you were like going out to the bars and, you know, you were having some fast food after that. That's just kind of what you did, right? And I know I'm definitely guilty of doing that back in my 20s for sure. And then from then on, honestly, my weight has been up and down like since I turned 20, I would say. So the last like 24, 25 years. And I had my daughters when I was fairly young. So I had my first daughter when I was 23, and I gained 80 pounds with her. And yeah, it was a lot. And I admit I probably used it as an excuse. I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy, and my daughter was perfectly healthy when she was born. But it was just an excuse kind of to eat. And I did gain a lot of weight. And so after I had her, then I did lose some of it. And I probably stayed around, like, I would say around 200 pounds. And I'm only like 5'5", 5'6" is my height. So I'm not overly tall. So it was a lot. And at that time, my asthma and my eczema were really out of hand, actually, because I just wasn't taking care of myself. And I find that like when I'm carrying extra weight, my asthma is for sure like off the charts and just wasn't doing well whatsoever, right? And then I ended up getting pregnant with my second child, and I had her when I was 25 years old, and I only gained about 50 pounds actually with her. So it wasn't too bad the second time around. Both of my pregnancies were perfect. I felt great, and both of my girls were absolutely healthy when they were born. And yeah, so then that was it when I had my kids. And also after that, I kind of fluctuated. So I had joined Weight Watchers a few years after I had my youngest, and I ended up getting to 144 pounds was my goal, and I got down to that. And I got down to 144, and that was my goal. And I was really happy there. And I stayed there for a little while, but with the Weight Watchers at that time, I'm not sure, I'm not up on the Weight Watchers, but at that time it was counting points. So every food item had a point value, okay? So it wasn't, I think now it's like some vegetables and lean meat are 0 points, but at that time, every food item had a point. There wasn't really anything that was 0 points, right? And so as time went on, I just had a lot of trouble keeping track of counting points when I was in maintenance, okay? So that was the problem there, because when I got to maintenance, not that I didn't eat whatever I wanted, but it was like I wasn't keeping track of my points anymore. So of course I was having too many calories than what I probably should have been, right? So it kind of, my weight went up and down. I joined Weight Watchers again, and, you know, lost some weight after then. And, you know, over the course of probably the next like 5 years it was Weight Watchers, right? And it was literally going up and down. And then probably in my 30s, when I met Jimmy, actually, when I was 33 when I met Jimmy, and I weighed about 190 pounds. And I was pretty comfortable with my weight. I wasn't 100% satisfied with the way that I looked and the weight that I was. But I was still confident and still felt like pretty good. And met Jimmy, and of course, you know, Jimmy, bless his heart, he, you know, weight doesn't matter to Jimmy. He loved me no matter what, because he always said that I was the same person no matter what weight I was. And it's true. Like I truly am the same person now when I was 240 pounds. But it's just like you have an extra confidence definitely once you get lower in weight, and you have more self-esteem, right? But at that time, like, I was pretty confident. I was a single mom, and, you know, I was just going through the motions of doing what I had to do on a daily basis, let's be honest, right? I had 2 little girls, and at the time they were 4 and 6. And yeah, so I was just kind of going through the motion. I had a really good career in the oil and gas industry. And so I was just working along, and actually my weight wasn't really the center of my attention. So I met Jimmy, and we moved in actually fairly quickly after we met. I would say probably like 3 weeks after we met, we moved in together, actually to the home that we live in now out in Suffield. And Jimmy was, well, still is, he is a very good cook. Honest to God, he is the best cook that, you know, ever has been, anyways, for, you know, a boyfriend or husband or my parents or anything like that. He was the absolute best cook. So the foods that he would make, you know, Jimmy's this volume cooker. So like he can't cook for 2 people. He can barely even cook for 4 people. He cooks for like 10 people. Like I think he expects maybe the neighbors are coming over for supper or something. But I'm telling you, the man, he cannot cook a small meal just for like, you know, a small family. So, and since he was such a good cook, I was eating easily 2 servings, you know, every meal that he was cooking. So he would make spaghetti meat sauce, or he would make lasagna, or he would make shepherd's pie, or he was always making like those comfort meals too. And I was eating definitely like 2 servings when I should have just been having the 1 servings. Like I was always going up and getting seconds. And that's what got me. And as well, for eating fast food, I was always kind of a fast food addict, like I had mentioned in my fast food video. I will link that video here if you guys haven't seen it. It gives you some good tips on what to order when you're eating out. But between those 2 things, that's what got me to my highest weight, and that was 240 pounds. So needless to say, after that, Jimmy stopped cooking. And he didn't stop cooking like because he was a bad cook. It was just that he was too good of a cook. And at that time, what did I do? I ended up, I don't know. I don't think I joined Weight Watchers. I think I started carb cycling actually for doing that when I first lost my weight, my first 100 pounds. And I was carb cycling. I think I started out with Weight Watchers from the information that I had prior. I didn't necessarily join, but I think I started out with Weight Watchers for the first 6 months. And then after that, I kind of came to a longer plateau, and then I switched over to carb cycling. So I followed, what's his name? Powell is his name. Heidi, her husband. I'm sorry, I forget. I will put it up on the screen. I absolutely am drawing a blank right now. But anyways, his last name is Powell, and I bought a couple books of his, and The Biggest Loser was pretty big at that time as well. And so I was getting a lot of information from those, sort of like the books and kind of watching The Biggest Loser. Now, don't get me wrong, The Biggest Loser, I think, takes it to the extreme, but I was getting a lot of just ideas from them. It's not like I was following that to a T, but just getting some ideas. And that's what I did in order to get to my goal weight. And the first time. So it was through carb cycling, and I was working out as well too. And that is how I got addicted to working out twice a day. I wasn't eating enough. Like I really cut down my calories, like to the extreme. And it was to the point where I wasn't even going out for dinner, like I've said with Jimmy. I wasn't really doing anything because I needed to work out twice a day. I was either running or biking to the gym, which was about a little less than 5 kilometers one way. And then I was doing weight strengthening at the gym, and then I would either run or bike back home, and it got pretty extreme, and I got down to like 120 pounds. I think it was 123, and I realized that it was kind of a problem. And instead of kind of gradually just maintaining and getting back to like a normal weight, like 135, 140, where I'm pretty comfortable, I started gaining weight. I just kind of went off the deep end, and I feel like, even though I realized it, but when you have a lot of people that are criticizing you and telling you how skinny you are, and you know, you look so unhealthy and you're not doing this right, and you know, you tend to just take it to heart. And I think that's what I did, and I felt like I needed to gain weight back, right? Like quickly, I guess you would say. But then when I was doing that, then it just all came back all of a sudden, and I couldn't control it. So then that I gained weight back. I ended up we got married 2 years ago, so I got to about 170 pounds. And that's when I first started the keto, was prior to that, because I wanted to lose some weight before our wedding. So that is first when I started keto, was over 2 years ago. Got down to my goal weight, and then when the wedding was over, I ended up gaining weight back, and I went off keto, and I went back up to over 200 pounds. So when I started, which was 2019, I reached 204 pounds. And that was in November of 2019. And then I got to my goal weight of 133 in 2020, which was like July, August of 2020. And I've been maintaining ever since. So with that long-winded story, that was just a quick overview of kind of how I went up and down. And, you know, it kind of gives me some solutions as to why I gain weight. And I self-sabotage. Okay, so self-sabotage is kind of taking steps to prevent you from reaching your goals. So it kind of gets in between you and your goals, okay? So what I kind of feel like my pattern, now everybody's going to be different because everybody has a different weight loss story, a weight loss journey, however long it's been going on. But for me, I feel that it's either all or nothing for me. So that's where I really have a hard time maintaining, because either I'm losing or I'm gaining. There's no in between for me, and it's very, very hard for me to find that balance. And that's why I self-sabotage, is because, you know, there's me and there's my end goal, which is maintaining my goal weight. And in the middle of that, I self-sabotage because I think to myself, I can't do this. You know, you start doubting yourself, right? In your goals, in the long-term goals. Or else you listen to other people. Like for me, I know from when I get criticized from others, that really plays a toll on me, which is weird because I don't consider myself as like listening to what other people have to say about me or what thoughts other people have about me. That really doesn't play a part, but I think it truly does. And I think it plays with me and plays in my mind subconsciously, because, you know, there's certain things that people have said to me about my weight loss that do stick out in my head. And I feel like that maybe is what kind of causes my self-sabotage, whether I'm looking unhealthy or I've lost weight too quickly, or you look like you could gain some weight, or, you know, you're doing something to the extreme, or whatever it is. I feel like that does play a toll on a person, and that what causes me my self-sabotage, because then it just goes back to eating emotionally, right? Because then you kind of feel down on yourself, and the criticism is negative. You know, I do get positive comments, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the negative comments that I get really take a toll, and then that causes me that causes me to kind of like self-sabotage and go off plan or have a couple of days of eating like crap, right? And I don't think I'm the only one, at least I hope I'm not the only one that kind of deals with stress and emotional eating that way. But sometimes I think it just takes a learning curve, you know, and trying to figure out your patterns. And that's why I explained to you kind of like my weight loss journey from when it started and how I feel like I need to keep things in check, because going over that story and explaining that story to you guys, I feel like my self-sabotage is that all or nothing mentality. And that's something that I need to work on. And I probably need to work on that for a long time. Sometimes when I go on vacation, I kind of feel like I'm on vacation and I'm going to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Do you guys ever feel that way when you're on vacation, or that you have an event? Maybe if it's a birthday event or anniversary event. And that's the hard thing to kind of get over, because we will always have those birthdays, those anniversaries, the events, the vacation. And we have to learn how to cope with those. And I'm no expert by any means. This is strictly going from what I've been through and what I am working on. And there's the train again. That's the second time during this video, and it's only been, you know, about 15 minutes that I've been talking. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I try to figure out why I gain weight, and not necessarily why I lose weight, because I know the reasoning for that. But I just want to get to the bottom of it, why I gain weight and why, you know, it is an all or nothing situation. And I feel like definitely using the excuse as holidays or birthdays or things of that nature has always been kind of like an excuse to eat, because we've always kind of done those holidays around food. So just try to practice, maybe like what I try to do is I try to just think that it's only a certain amount of time. So if I'm going to a birthday party, or, you know, I'm celebrating a birthday or whatever it is, I just think of it as that certain amount of time, whether it's a 2-hour party, or if I'm just going to celebrate going out for supper, and try to make good choices that I'm just going to have this meal. I try to pre-plan it, or else if I'm going to have a piece of cake, if it's my own birthday, I just try to plan it with that in mind. So, you know, whether it's I'm going to a Christmas party, okay, this Christmas party is only 2 or 3 hours of my life, and I can make good choices in that amount of time. And I try to self-talk myself before I go. Because before I used to avoid those situations because of that reason, because I will go off the rails with my eating. But now I can't do that forever. I cannot do that forever. And so now what I'm trying to do is just make that conscious decision about what I'm going to eat. If I'm going to maybe eat beforehand and, you know, take something, if it's a potluck, take something that I can eat, or else, you know, just not eat at all, right? You know, people maybe will ask you, or why aren't you eating, or why are you only eating that, or, but you know what, you got to stick to your goals, you guys. Even if you're at your goal weight, you still have to stick to your goals, I'm afraid. And that's the hard thing about maintenance. So losing weight is great, but you know what, I'm telling you, when you get to your goal weight, it becomes harder and harder, because you kind of tend to give yourself that little bit of leniency, but you can only give a little bit. You can't give a lot, because that's when you're going to fall back into your old habits. And I've done it. And you guys know I've been struggling since Christmas time. And Christmas time, you know, I let that go too long. I should have just said, okay, Christmas Day is the day that I'm going to enjoy that day, and I'm going to have all the treats, and I'm going to enjoy the mashed potatoes with dinner or whatever, right? But I let that go on for 3 or 4 days, and that was the problem. And I'm still struggling even after that. You know, and I've had bouts of getting it in check, and then I'll kind of give a little bit too much, right? And it's just trying to find that balance and not letting self-sabotage get in the way of that. Because you guys, this is a lifetime goal, okay? This is like a lifetime lifestyle for eating. And, you know, for other people, that are fortunate enough to not have a weight problem, they don't have to think about these things in their head. We do. We have to think of those things for every event. And if you're not eating at home and you don't know what you're eating, then you have to think of those things too. Because I guarantee you, any place that you go and visit, or you're going out to drinks, or you're going over, you know, for whatever reason, or a birthday party, they're not going to have the food at their house like you do at your house. And that's why you have to always keep in the back of your mind and always stay on track and try not to get that self-sabotage, you know, let it get away from you. Because that's what I feel that always comes in between myself and my lifetime goals, is the self-sabotage. And you know, it's a learning process. I'm still learning, even though I've been at my goal weight for a few months, and I've been at this goal weight for many times, and that's what I'm concerned about. I really don't want to go through this again, and you know, I said that last time. That I lost weight, that I didn't want to go through this again and go through the weight loss process, because it is difficult, and I know it's difficult for you guys. I'm there with you. I totally understand it. I've been through it. And, you know, it's very overwhelming depending on how much weight you have to lose. But you have to just keep it one day at a time, and even 1 month at a time. You can't think about, I have 100 pounds to lose, or I have 140 pounds to lose, or whatever the number is. All you can do is just make the right choices for today and plan for tomorrow. And, you know, just try to keep on track with that, because you are in control of all of this. Remember that. You are in control, and don't think that anybody else is in control of your life and your way of eating. When it comes down to it, it's all on you, and you make those choices. And don't get me wrong, I've been there, and you know, I've talked negatively to myself sometimes when I've eaten the wrong things and gotten off track. But I try not to make that a habit, and I try to just think, you know what, it is what it is. What I ate is what I ate. I can't change that. But what I can change is what I'm going to eat next meal, what I'm going to eat tomorrow. And that's why I always say that meal planning is so important, you guys, and cooking at home, very, very important. But like I said, with those sort of things that is out of your control, and if you are going to birthday parties, I know maybe some restrictions are opening up in some places, but just always keep that in mind, and just keep remembering the goal that you have, and how, you know, how do you want to live your life in the next 5 years? You know, you get a lot of questions on, especially in interviews, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know what, sometimes I got to remind myself of that question. And just in weight loss, where do I see myself in 5 years? And, you know, in 5 years, I still want to be healthy. I still want to have my weight off, and I want to be active. And you know what, just those things in general, we can work towards those, and we just take it day by day, just like any 5-year plan. You know, in 5 years, depending on maybe your work, or if you want to get a promotion, you have to work towards that promotion. And I remind you guys maybe to kind of put it in that perspective as well too. And you guys, I know everybody can be successful, right? It's just a matter of, if you do have that self-sabotage problem, like I do, and like I have for, you know, the last 20 years, we need a little bit more tools to get us through, rather than just, you know, weight loss, right? And that's also why I'm here, because I feel like in weight loss, I have a lot to share in losing weight. But there's also a lot of information in order to keep the weight off. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to share my ups and downs with you guys, what I've learned along the way. And I feel like this is a major topic. And I feel like it has to be reminded once in a while, because I can share with you what I eat. I can share with you what I do, what, you know, I have done, what I haven't done, or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you really have to think about, your eating addiction. It's an eating addiction and a food addiction, and sometimes that alone just needs to be addressed. And especially if you've lost weight and gained it back, just just like I have a few times over. It's definitely nothing that I'm proud of, but you know what? I just want to learn from it and get to the bottom of why I'm doing it. And I feel like, you know, with those things that I mentioned today, just to kind of keep those things in the back of your head, right? And try to remember all of those things that I've mentioned. And, you know, think about those things. Maybe think about, you know, talk about it, right? Sometimes talking about it just kind of maybe says like, why am I on such a roller coaster of my weight? You know, and this is what triggered my weight gain, you know, or you know, and then sometimes you see a pattern, right? And then that's when you figure out, okay, this is my pattern. So how can I stop that pattern and kind of make it, you know, a little bit level instead of, you know, the ups and downs, right? So I hope this video helps you guys, and gives you some suggestions with self-sabotage and maybe a few things for you guys to think about in your weight loss journey. And let me know down below, what do you think is your biggest struggle in weight loss? Or if you have lost weight and gained some back, what do you feel is kind of like, what suggestions do you have to be successful? You know, I've given a couple of suggestions for you guys, but you guys let me know your thoughts, all right? So make sure you hit that red subscribe button, give this video a like to make sure that you're liking my content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.